Hi, it's Ileana, and today we have David Powell from OWL003. He does traditional remote viewing, and we're going to be talking about what traditional remote viewing protocols are, how this works, as well as discussing what distinguishes good remote viewing for quality and work ethics. Hi, David.
Hi, El.
How are you?
Good. Good to see you again.
You too. So, what, in your opinion, is traditional remote viewing, the protocols? How does that work?
Well, in my mind, traditional, first off, you're always blind to the target, meaning you have no idea what it is or what it could be. You're not told anything about the target ahead of time. Um, I use CRV, which I guess would be probably one of the most most used. It's a lot of offshoots came out of that, so it's probably, I guess you could put it in that category is like a standardized kind of remote viewing.
Mhm.
Go ahead.
So, what would be the protocols in CRV then? Can you walk us through that?
Sure. Standard CRV is a stage 1 through 6 process. Stage one is what we call an ideogram process. Is where you CRV is primarily kinesthetically based in its beginnings. Okay. Um, some methodologies have like a just like kind of like a bunch of different ways to kind of get visual stuff and all this. There's a science understanding behind CRV as far as how the target develops. So initially, there's an ideogram, which is this basic kinesthetic contact with the target, and in essence, it is the compacted version of the target. And through that, you start off very small as far as data fragments. So you start off with your density and your of your ideograms. So you're trying to determine if um, there's a structure there, if it, primarily, or people, or water, very base elements. And from that, you begin to open up the target. Um, so that's CRV stage one, basically. From there, there's stage two, very low level descriptors. So the whole idea behind it is there's this aperture of the target that's slowly, widening as you continue on through the session and go through the stages. Stage two is low level descriptors, colors, tastes, textures, smells. You're basically taking a list of all these sensory aspects of the target that's there, and as you're unpacking this information, the data itself becomes more high caliber, high level data, and it's a progressive kind of a state of things. So after stage two, you go into what is called an aesthetic impact. So now you're getting all these basic feelings of the target, impressions, and basically at this point you queue up yourself and you're asking yourself, how do I feel about this target? You're at the target. There's a part of you there. How does it make you feel? You declare that. It's called aesthetic impact break. And you write down whatever that is. And then immediately at that point, you're switching into dimensionals. Okay, that's when you get into sketching, and you're starting to get the physical dimensions of the target starts opening up. So you will, as time goes on, you will kind of feel the draw of where you're at in the target. I'll be doing my stage twos, and I could feel my hand wanting to sketch something. I could feel myself getting pulled in. But there's other indicators, like you're getting more dimensionals in your low level descriptors. That's another key indicator. You're building up to your dimensional stage. So with CRV, it's very much about knowing where you're at within the target. Stage four is where, and along the way, you're getting all these analytical assumptions, basically. And you, at this point in the session, no matter how good that analytical or whatever that high level data outside of the stage is, you always park it as an AOL and move on. You just park it as kind of a noise aspect. And as time goes on, you end up getting like valid data right out of the gate. But again, if it is valid, it'll come back around in the matrix anyway. So after you've gained a dimensional aspect, you've sketched it out, you've kind of gotten this, you're sketching in stage 3 and you're building up a dimensional aspect. Along the way, you're getting all these impressions, and you're cataloging those on the side as well. And you're going to start to get more. You could tell you're shifting again. The aperture's getting wider again, to where the AOL, the feel of the high level data, which was once considered noise, is shifting into valid data. So at this point, you're in a stage 4 matrix. In the stage 4 matrix, you have columns where you during training, you learn how to park your impressions in several aspects, and learning to decipher what, at this point, you're deep enough into the target to decipher where this data fits. Okay. So you have stage 2 impressions, you have dimensional impressions, you have AIs at the target, feelings about the target, EIs, which is people, feelings, thoughts of the person at the target, tangibles, things that are important that you could touch at the target, intangibles, which is usually high level concepts and ideas, AOLs, which is noise, and then AOL signals, which is the closest comparison you could kind of come up with to what it actually is. And so again, as you're going through the target, the aperture is getting wider, and the data, you can start to lean heavier into this data that's coming in. So by stage 4, during training, you learn where to park this data and what column, where to park it. It's very, it's very kind of clinical in that way. It's very different from the stage 3. It's a big shift. So you're into the matrix. So stage 5, you could actually take at any point in the session. Stage 5 is when you get a data point, whether it be something in an AOL or something that's actually parked in a tablet, but you want to break it down, and you want to know what built up that target. What's everything? So let's say you get an AOL of submarine, okay, and that has, you want to break that down. So you may break that down, and within that you have subcategories of subjects, topics, say attributes, objects. You break all those down, and then you park all those. So you're literally getting, you're breaking down those assumptions. What caused it to have bubbled up? So that's stage 5. They just parked it at that point in the matrix, but you could actually take stage 5 at any point. Stage 6 is basically your stage 4 matrix with clay. So once you'll be working at stage 4, and you've kind of the data kind of just, you've kind of run out of steam in a sense with the data. It just stops kind of flowing. When you grab the clay, you are literally at that point, the target is in your hand in essence. And now as you're touching the clay, okay, we've got lights, cameras, we've got cars here, vehicles. And now the clay may eventually look like something. A lot of times my clay does look like something at the target, but that doesn't necessarily always the case. Sometimes it could just not look like anything affiliated to target, but just the simple aspect of kinesthetically touching the clay drops out all this data. So after that, you write up a summary. You go through your data, lean into what you feel most about. And in CRV, it's very structured, it's very militaristic the way they want the summary. Different methodologies will want a different kind of a summary setup, but so that may vary depending on the method. But you kind of pull all your data, write in a summary, and then you send it in. So that's basically CRV, standard CRV.
Mm-hmm. And what does it look like when you receive a target? Like, is it letters, numbers? How is all that set up as well?
Well, usually, we're back in the day when it was before it was called controlled remote viewing, it was coordinate remote viewing. So you would get actual geographical coordinates. But nowadays, typically you get about an 8-digit number, which usually the ones I get is like, as far as like straight out of school, was pretty much all numbers, I think. Maybe like an 8-digit number or something like that. But, it's arbitrary. I mean, you could, pretty much do whatever you want. I try and keep it. I try not to make it too long. I try and keep it about 8 digits. I like a rhythm in my target number, so I could jump off right into my ideogram. Kind of like a phone number, dialing a phone number, like that, boom. So yeah.
Yeah, because the more letters and numbers, the more you have to tap into and sort and figure out, right? Because it's all something within the signal itself, some information.
Yeah, I mean, I try and keep it as simple as I can in that like I try, I mean, like I said, if you want to put letters in and stuff, that's fine too. I just try not to make it too long, because what'll happen is it could very well be you write down the coordinate wrong and you'll be on the money anyway, because it's intention based. So so what'll happen is you'll have excellent target contact, but you wrote down the wrong number because it was so long or whatever, and you missed a digit or whatever. So, and then which opens you up to more, others in the field picking your stuff apart. So you're just better off, just keep it simple, because at any point in the field, people are trying to pick apart your work.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, exactly. It has to be done by the book. And it's very traditional. Like, you have to be very neutral to the targets. You don't put your emotions into it. You don't make suppositions. Whatever the info is, that's what you put down. Is that correct?
yeah, absolutely. You're not supposed to um, discriminate the data, which you have all these other categories too. I mean, you don't, as long, because at the end of the day, you want to put it down, because we're not perfect. You could park some piece of data in the AOL and it's actually a tangible, or it's actually a something, but at least you have it on the paper. And for a project manager who knows the end scope of what they're wanting to find out, that's a very minor thing. They're just happy to see it there. As long as that's on the paper, usually that's enough. So, yeah.
And you do yours with paper sessions and whiteboard. Can you explain that, how that works?
Yeah. So when you do, at least in my case, um, you do enough of something, it almost becomes a little too easy. You get a little bored. You want more out of it for something. People are unique to things. So what I would suggest is, master whatever method you learn, master it. Like, if you're not, like, be really good at it, know it backwards and forwards and backwards. And at that point, if you've proven to yourself that you're proficient enough to do it, then so the only thing what I've noticed is, when I'm on paper, it's like I'm collecting. I'm collecting data. And I've got pieces everywhere. Okay, which is fine for most clients. That's what they're looking for. But I realized for myself as a viewer, I wanted to ride this out like a story. If there is a narrative to whatever the target is, I want to ride it out frame by frame, so I know what's going on and it's more clear overall. So I was never. It's harder for me to do that on paper. But what I noticed is after I go through the target a couple of times on paper, and then I go up to whiteboard, the target by that time has opened up so much for me because you've been dancing with it so much that at that point everything's pretty much visual. I could just do my ideogram, key up what I'm looking for, because it's a big misunderstanding here. There's very visual based methods out there that love to tear down CRV because it's not built upon visuals. But it's a technicality that they're beating CRV up because everybody gets visuals. If you're deep enough in the target, you're going to get visuals. It's just you've been there long enough. It's what starts to happen. It's a cumulative effect. It's just we don't open the box and try and force them open. They come on their own. So I'm sorry, I lost track of my thought there. What were we saying?
You don't force the box to open what comes in.
Oh yeah, and the whiteboard. Yeah, so something about the big white space when I go up there, it allows me to navigate the target in a narrative fashion if there is one. I could queue up frame 1, frame 2, frame 3. So from what I could tell, your subconscious definitely does understand kind of time because it knows what I'm looking for. Hey, the beginning. Show me the beginning. Now show me the middle. Now show me the end. So, and that's kind of how I navigate the whiteboard, which is not standard CRV, but it's something I use and I find helpful personally.
Yeah, and I like how you do the paper and I like how you do the whiteboard because it helps to compare the story. You get a full story of what the remote viewing target is and what the results are. It's clean, it's efficient, and it's easy to understand if somebody's a task manager and they receive both paper and the whiteboard. It gives a fuller, broader picture of what is in the target.
And I never go up to the whiteboard first ever, because what happened, what I've learned is, and this is, I hope people realize this. Once you've done enough paper, you've built such a foundation of the target. You've collected so much of it that when you go to whiteboard, it's all there. It's all, you're on a firm foundation. It's all just sitting there. Now you're not collecting anymore. Pretty much, you're just basically placing the data and putting it where it needs to be. So basically, it's like a filtering process. I've gone through it 3 times. By the 3rd time, it's and also there's something about a finality of it. My subconscious knows it's my last pass, so it's going to give me, everything it can. And sometimes it hides things into the very end. I don't know why, but yeah, that's basically how I do it most of the time for clients.
And you record the whiteboard session data. It's on video, so you have documentation to back everything up that you did.
Correct. Yeah, correct.
And that's very important. You're meticulous.
I try to be. And this is, again, this is just, everybody could be doing that. I mean, this, and I seriously don't believe the method really matters so much. I mean, as long as it's kind of an established method. I find in most cases, people don't do enough digging is the problem. They want everything to open up right away. The faster, the better. And I don't know. To me, it feels like it opens up just fine. It's just about rolling up your sleeves and making sure. Like every time I do a target, before I really close it out, I kind of ask myself, like, did you answer the question? Did you get everything you can? And not that I always do, but and then as time goes by, like when I go to whiteboard, I kind of cue myself up, and it's like I tell myself, okay, you're done, or that's it, or that's the last frame, So it's a process of just getting to know yourself. You get better at it.
Yeah, I typically would like to see 15 to 20 pages paper and then like 30 minutes to 1 hour whiteboard video for projects. That's just what I'm used to, I guess. That's the type of caliber I'm used to seeing from you. So I think that's kind of like the level of quality expectation, what I would expect from.
Well, and that's what it takes. I mean, what I've noticed too, though, is like I'll go in. My first session is typically the longest, my paper session. Then the second and third, it's almost like the data gets compressed and it's getting tighter and tighter and tighter. And by the time you're up to whiteboard, it's just the meat. It's just the main thing. But maybe other people could get there faster. I don't know. Sometimes it takes me a while to get to the level I'm happy with. You know.
Exactly. Remote viewing targets could take anywhere from a week to several weeks. It's about what you said, digging deep and getting as much as you can from the information and the signal, so you can figure out what it is and what you're doing. Is you're working towards building up something, a story, information and images, and putting all that together and piecing it out, right?
Oh yeah, and people don't have the same level of standards, and so in my mind, I'm always trying to constantly build. Plus, another thing is if I work a project on my channel alone, I have to tell the whole story. It's just me. You know what I mean? I don't have the luxury of saying, okay, because that's what'll happen. This, but for your viewers, psychics work together and they end up, a lot of times they'll sync up and they'll split the load. Hey, I got first section, you got that section. And they don't do it purposely, just that's the way it happens. I wasn't satisfied with that. So I want to go into, even if I'm working with 10 other people, I want to be able to tell the whole story myself. You know what I mean? I don't want to just give you the beginning, or just give you that, and then the project manager has to put it all together. But I put myself in that position. I would not, I won't accept less than that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's quality. That's what distinguishes that quality, that essence of good work.
And it is taxing. You know how it is. It's you're focusing for a long time, so you got to take breaks and stuff. But it's like like a fighter in a match. It's like anything else. How much gas did you put in the tank? Did you put enough? Because that's it. If you want to be competitive at the highest level, that's the only way to do it. You know what I mean? You really have to be a digger.
Yeah. And even if you're working in a team of like 6 to 10 remote viewers, you don't know what their data is going to bring back until everything is finished and you're reviewing all the pieces with the project manager from every remote viewer, right? To see if there's verification for the target.
For sure. And you want to feel like you pulled your weight. There's nothing that gives me more, well, it's probably not true, but it gives me a lot of pleasure to go into it, getting my feedback and looking at all the sessions. Okay, Janet got this, Jerry got that, Johnny got this, Dave, you got all three. You got all of it. That's a great feeling. And so, it's it's very common in today's remote viewing world because there's so much marketing involved, to be claiming to be selling the best product and having a superior methodology. You hear this a lot out of HRVG. But and believe me, if there was somebody that was blowing me out of the water with I would be the first one to stand in line for a class. I would be the first one. And so I feel like I'm my harshest critic too. I really do. So, but the fact of the matter is, I feel like I'm very highly competitive with any of them using CRV. If I wasn't, I would change, but so what that tells me is there's nothing, it's not a method thing. So people should just quit bashing everybody, because eventually people are going to figure that out. Everybody's going to figure that out. Right now, people don't know enough about this. They just, somebody tells them that, oh, it's a superior method, I better no. It comes down to you, or how good of a detective are you? The method is just, hey, different prompts, different way to open the box. It's just a different way to open the box.
But the results are the same. The data, the visuals, the quality must be there always. And the documentation. if that's there and you've done all the bits and pieces, you might use a different format or a different, modality of it. But as long as you have all the standards that you've covered in your basis, and you've spent time in the target, like you said, you have to have all the pieces of it.
For sure. Yeah. And that, it's not like, and I've been doing this for quite a while now, but even now it takes some dancing with the target. It just doesn't just drop right out. You got to do some teasing, and you got to be patient with it. But I enjoy it. To me, it's a pleasurable experience being connected and to whatever this is, this psychic network. But also, it's like a crossword puzzle. You're trying to open this up, figure it out, get its components. So yeah, it definitely takes probably a certain type to really get. I mean, you're a digger. I've seen tons of data from you, but it's quite rare though. Most of the time, once the fatigue sets in,
you
people
take
put
a
their pen
break.
down and they're done. Yeah.
You take a break, because if the fatigue sets in, you might be getting random stuff from the ether, from the universe. You have to stop and you have to disengage from the signal, so you're not getting supposition, you're not guessing, you're not playing guesswork, because that's not RV.
Yeah.
Or if you're feeling like something's wrong in the target, step aside, take some time out and come back later and dig into it to find the real stuff.
To me, that's the best part of, after so much time doing this, is you do so many sessions. Now you're getting to know, this feels like this is BS. I'm off target. Something's off. Something's not coming together. Those things are critical things. Or I'm dragging something in from the day or whatever. Because sometimes, you got to be synced up with that subconscious. Sometimes your subconscious just doesn't want to play for that, whatever reason, just not in the mood, doesn't like the target, whatever. But if you sense that he's not in the mood, okay, I got to come back to this or whatever. You're getting to know your internal mechanisms. I mean, that's the whole thing.
Yeah, if I get a feeling I'm off and I'm just getting something not on this target, something different coming in, I'm like, I'm going to stop and I'm going to take a break. And I might write down on a different piece of paper what I was getting to clear that out, just to clear it out from my system, because I know it doesn't belong to this target. So I'll just write it out quickly or sketch it out to just release it from my mind and let it go. And then, a couple of hours, couple of days, come back to the target and go back in and take a look.
There was a time, one of like everybody has their own personal like hurdles to overcome along the way. One of mine was, if I didn't like the target, if it just bored me or whatever, I would go there for like first few pages and then leave. I just leave, but it would be very, but it's, there's a certain, you get away about like, God, this is a boring target or whatever. But now I've come to the point where it's like, okay, you've come to, okay, listen, I know it's boring. I don't like this target. I don't, but we got to still try to dig some stuff out of it. And you kind of have to make that deal with yourself sometimes. Or I'll know that I don't like the tasking. Like I'll know at the end, like there's something about the target. I'm like, I hate something about this tasking. I just don't like. But you got to do it anyway. Just like, you're just going to have to know at the end of the day, you're not going to like the verbiage, or you were confused by something. So that's a whole nother thing. And tasking could make you or break you. It could literally dump the whole project if you don't task it. If you make it too big, or if you make it too abstract, it could be very frustrating for the viewer.
Yeah, or if you are making it big, you divide it into subjects and you let the remote viewer know, okay, there's subject A, B, and C, but you don't tell them what is in the subjects. Because it still has to be blind.
Yeah, yeah. What happened to me a lot in operations is, well, not a lot, but sometimes. So usually, um, nowadays I'll get it all like in the one package with my paper in the one video that'll be usually answer the questions. But sometimes, um, you'll get something like, okay, this is interesting. Could you, look into that target you described and, do a timeline or this or that. Um, and sometimes you'll get something like that. But again, you're still blind. You really don't know what's going on. So yeah.
And sometimes taskers give prompts if they need more info, subtle cues prompts without giving away what the specifics are.
Mm-hmm.
So if they need more information, they might come back to you, right, and give a prompt or something. Does that
Mm-hmm.
happen sometimes to you?
Yeah, you maybe like you'll get a target and then you'll have like two sub cues, like subject A, subject B. It could be, like literal people at the target. It could relate to different different data sets or something that pertain to the target, or different time frames relating to this one location. It could be done many different ways, but um, yeah, so you definitely could do some stuff like that, for the tasking. When you have like target events and stuff like that, it's helpful because uh, target events, like if you really want to peel out the whole thing, it's there's a lot there. You got to do a lot of digging to be able to describe what's actually happening.
Exactly. And can we discuss like what distinguishes good remote viewing for quality and the work ethics of it as well?
Sure. Yeah.
So what is on your end? What do you think is part of that? What distinguishes it?
Well, I would say that this definitely varies from, to me personally. High quality would be, first of all, you answered the question, whatever the question happens to be. You you have put your work together and somewhat, like I was really sloppy in the beginning. I'm getting cleaner and cleaner and cleaner because I'm trying to work on anything I can to improve. You should always be improving. If you're not constantly trying to refine, it's going to be tough to compete because, like I was a messy handwriting, and when I'm psychic, it gets even more messy because your subconscious is taking over the party, and it can't spell. So what I'll end up doing, sometimes I'll rewrite my words or whatever, try and clean it up. um, CRV is very, um, kinesthetic and sketch oriented, so for me, um, like a lot of the data for me drops out as I'm sketching. So I, I'm working on, now I use colors on occasion. But that's another thing. Like CRV didn't use colors, but I kind of willed myself, like, I want to use colors though, and so it just, they just started to come. Not in every sketch, but I just like, okay, this guy's definitely wearing green, so I'll shade that in. Again, that's not standard CRV, but, um, like in a summary, your target summary, I don't want to hear about your experience. Like I don't want to hear about how this reminds you of this or that. I just want the facts. I want,
Mhm.
just give me the critical data, the things you feel that you could take home with,
Mhm.
that is gold. Um, so that, what else? It just, a good, a good effort. If you come in with, sometimes you'll do a session and it's only like, 10 or 15 pages, but you could just tell. You're like, I've been sitting here for 2 hours, but you could tell for some reason it's packed with data. It just didn't take you that many pages this time. But you want to see, like again, CRV is very sketch oriented. So if you're not like working on your sketching, um, or if you're like a bad sketcher and it's always kind of, you want to be able to kind of represent something like this is a whatever, if that's, that's how you do things. In CRV, it's kind of heavy sketching. So,
And you're self-taught
just
for drawing.
sketching.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sketching. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I did a lot of cartoons and stuff when I was in school, like, just doodling. So that's helpful to me. I wouldn't call myself like but I could draw cartoons pretty decent. So that's helpful. But yeah, that's kind of just, the solid effort. You should constantly be refining your work. Sometimes I'll get a session where, they can just tell they didn't put in the effort. It's just bare bones. You're not really telling me anything. You're just wanting to see the feedback, or whatever. But if you want to be professional and stuff, you have to really, you have to be able to tell a story, especially nowadays. Remote viewing is getting more. People are setting the bar higher. Back in the military days, they were getting paid to do it. They could, there was nobody, they weren't competing with anybody. It's just them and the unit. So you
Exactly.
got to raise the
And
bar.
yeah, and I saw the bar in the recent John Adams work with 3i Atlas. You guys did an amazing job.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. Yeah. He's a good project manager. He's a good viewer too. And he's of the same mindset too. Everything I'm telling you right here, John would agree with 100%. And he's taken TRV. I think he's taken CRV, and he does his kind of his own thing too. I mean, he uses different tools from different methods. But again, as long as the work's consistent, you get to a point where the data comes out, it falls out of your head a certain way where you just know, oh, that's gold. You just know, because it just came so far outside of yourself. Like this is not noise. This is not me. This is target related. Didn't come from me.
Yeah, and you step aside with assumptions. You're just neutral. You're a blank slate.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get into the signal, and you don't make suppositions, whatever the data is, you don't wonder about it. You keep digging and keep looking, and you put it down.
Yeah, and you shouldn't. At the end of the day, it comes down to the data. I don't care how you got it. I don't care, what methodology you're working with. If you want to be if you want to, people need to really stop picking on methodologies. Just show the work. That's all. At the end of the day, that's all that matters. Show the work. Are you bringing gold? If you're bringing gold, then who cares? Quit trying to say that this is better. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I would have done just as well probably with anything, probably. But any of the established methods. But at the end of the day, it's going to come down to the person, like you use SRV, right? SRV you use?
Yeah. I like the traditional methodology of it, but I've tried different experiments, but tried different formats as well, blind CRV, and I've done open targets too. I'm always honest if it's blind or open. I've had people send me coordinates. I've had people send me just the traditional numbers and letters. I've had people send me questions. I want you to remote view this, and that's an open target if they've told you something about something.
Yeah.
Even if you've
and
never.
You can't. Yeah. I'm sorry to interrupt. I just want to say that you can do. I mean, there is what's called front loading. Excuse me. And as long as you're honest with people how you're doing it, it doesn't. I mean, sometimes you just don't have the luxury. Sometimes somebody may need something. They're a friend of yours.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt to try. I mean, not everything is a scientific, what I know I have to do things like when I try and be, I want to be as professional as I can at all times. But if you're remote viewing, especially, you're in a field where your peers are trying to destroy you at every turn. Most of them, probably me a little worse than most, but so, you want to do stuff with this scientific rigor because you got to, if you don't dot all your I's and stuff, you're going to have a mountain of people coming at you trying
Oh,
to discredit you.
oh yeah, yeah. So I always try to tell people, like, if this is traditional remote viewing you're looking for, you don't tell me anything about the target. You just give me numbers, letters.
Mhm.
That's the professional way to do it. If you
Mhm.
want something blind, that's blind. But some people
Mhm.
are like, I just need you to look into this, and they have a question, and you might not know anything about the thing, but you've already been told something about it. So there's that front loading, even
Mhm.
that little bit. I mean, if that's how the person asked for it, alrighty, fine, we'll try
Mhm.
it that way. That's open remote viewing. That's not blind.
Sometimes, yeah, and sometimes, look, like some targets are extremely tricky, and if you don't give them something, um, for instance, like I had given someone a health issue for someone, and if you've never done anything like that, you're going to be so lost because you're going to be small. You could be in somebody's body, or
Mhm.
so unless you have that like in your database where you've worked on stuff like that blind, it's going to be frustrating probably for you because we do have limits. I mean, somebody might be really excellent at that, but for something like that, you may want to monitor them, or at least, or at least say, okay, this is, it's something to do with a life, or, this is the
Yeah.
primary, whatever. But that's like an extremely exceptional case. Like if you're looking for a diagnosis or something, I mean, it's tough to do. You know what I mean? Just completely blind.
Yeah, it's like being a medical intuitive in a remote viewing session.
Exactly. You're like in a hospital, you're sketching down, like, why am I here? What's going on? You're trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
Um, but again, everybody there's targets that were once very hard for me, but are much easier now. I mean, it's to me, it seems like it's like building a database. Once you have some familiarity with that target, you're like, oh, okay, I know what this is why this is so difficult. This is confusing because of this, that, or the other.
Yeah. And it's like recently I was asked something, and and I said, no, I don't do those types of targets. But then I got information because it was an open type of a question. I'm looking for something. Um, and I said, I don't do those types of targets looking for specific something. But then I got impressions of stuff, and I just sent the person that and I said, this may be on target or it may be off target. I don't know. This is what I got. It seems important. Whatever you do with that is up to you. That's
Yeah.
all. And I don't know anything. I just gave them that, and that's it. It was just one email. That's it.
Yeah. And for people, I remember when I first started, there was a time where I thought some remote viewing was it just impressed the crap out of me at the time. Now I'm far less impressed. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? If you looking back, it's like, it wasn't, it's not that
Yeah.
great. But you know, for like just for instance, let's say you're in a streaming service, that doesn't mean you're a world class remote viewer. You know what I mean? Like if you're hustling something or whatever the deal. Um,
Yeah. Puts extra
that's
pressure to perform, literally.
yeah, yeah.
I'm not looking to be part of streaming services or groups of remote viewers who do that as a living. For me, that's too much. I don't have the time for it, honestly.
Yeah, the time constraints are tough, and I could probably. I mean, as long as I didn't do crypto, I'd probably be all right with it. I just don't want to do that. That to me sounds like a nightmare. Like just boring.
Or
Um,
stock market, crypto
yeah,
stock market,
yeah.
because it's like when money is involved, it just that energy, that frequency is just always sitting there, and it's prompting you. I gotta be right. I gotta get it right, and then you might get it wrong because there's too much stress into it to succeed, to perform.
I mean, that's the only application where I've seen things slingshot on me is, with gambling, like we're literally just does a 180. Uh, so it's very rare. Like maybe once or twice a year, I'll do a project, and if I do it like that, I always win. But I only do it one or two of them a year. If I stretch it much more than that, it gets scary because I don't know what it is. Call it the governance of whatever, but I don't play with it. I like to keep my average high, and as long as I do like Mr. Standard targeting. It is. But I start messing with that, things get weird.
I never do the gambling. I never do stock markets or crypto. Those are targets I don't accept. And sometimes I feel it if somebody is like giving me that. I'm like, I'm not going to do that. I'll turn it down. I just have a feeling it has to do with money, and it has to do with guessing the numbers and getting a lotto win. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that.
That's happened to me too. That's happened to me too, where I got a target and I said, I don't want anything to do with this. I could just tell. Like it just had something to do with, you know. So yeah.
And again, people emailing me all the time, can you look into this? I want you to look into that. And again, if I get a strong impression, even if it's something I don't do like that, if I get a strong impression, I'll reply, this is what I got, not sure on target, off target. This is my impressions. If you need to double check this data, you should go to this remote viewer and this remote viewer. And I just give links to who the persons can go to double check things. Because I don't know.
I always, I put in my description, don't say anything. Reach out to me an email and I'll set up a project. But sometimes they just, and then I'll pass it on to somebody else.
Yeah.
But
I would say I would say that was a psychic remote viewing, sort of open psychic remote viewing. Because the only thing the person said is, I'm looking for something. So I don't know what they're, but I got impressions, strong impressions. I was like, okay, I need to reply and this is what I got. Not sure, on target, off target. If you want to investigate that, if it has any accuracy or meaning to you, you should contact these people to get this looked at. But don't tell them what you're looking for. That was my reply.
And also too is when you do any target that's unverifiable, I always submit the data and this is what I got. But I never try and convince anyone of this is reality, because I can't confirm that. I mean, like everybody got crazy stuff. I mean, most people got crazy stuff with Stray Atlas, but I've noticed other people like go on like a circuit over this, like they're doing like a whole thing, and excuse me. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like I don't ever try and convince somebody of the reality of whatever the target. I tapped into a data stream. This is what I got. Take it or leave it. I don't know.
Exactly. It's like, it's not verifiable really, unless you have cumulative data that's the same and that's tangents that are very similar, because in remote viewing projects, you need everybody to be verifiable, on task, to bring back similar or same data for it to become from unverifiable to somewhat verifiable.
I will say, as a working psychic, though, when you have like 3i Atlas, for one, when you have a vast array of remote viewers, different projects doing it, all getting weird stuff, that is strange. That is significant to me, in my mind. I mean, I can't say why or whatever, but just personally, for like the moon, for instance, I mean, gosh, that's been tasked different spots on the moon for decades with Ingo and in these underground bases and stuff. When you have stuff that goes across decades, locations and stuff like that, across projects, all coming up, you don't have to convince me any further. Now you have to convince somebody else, but to me, that goes a long way. That to me, that's very, very convincing.
I'd say things are there on the moon that are ours, not ours, and there's a lot of data on that from different sources of remote viewing. Ingo, going back to Ingo to present day, I'd say I agree with that. And 3i Atlas, if somebody asks me, do you think that's a normal comet? I'd say no. There's definitely something there, because I was also tasked blindly to remote view 3i Atlas and came back with, there's beings there. It's not exactly a comet. It's something else, perhaps. And there's advanced tech there. So those three things seem to be commonalities that remote viewers are getting.
Yes, yeah. My sense would be like first of all, it's something to consider is there a way to hijack, is it possible? Is it possible to hijack a remote viewing, a signal or whatever? Is
Yes.
it possible? So if it is, first of all, the psychic can't do anything about it. We're getting information. We got to write down what we get.
Yeah.
But what I would suspect is either there is something really strange about that thing, or there's something pumping something strange at us that we're all getting this. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense. It just I can't figure out. Like something's literally like making us get all this weird stuff coming from that thing, or there's something strange going on.
Or that thing itself was hijacked and there was something in there that had to be cleaned up because it was being weaponized. That came up in one of my remote viewings, that it was hijacked by certain types of beings.
Yeah. Courtney had mentioned he thought it was a psyop, which it may be. I don't know, but I bet you he won't do it. I won't bet you he won't work that project because I think he's probably afraid of it. After all he got from the Hellbop, after all that grief he got.
It's not Hellbop. It's definitely not that. But what I got strongly is Draco reptilians hijacked 3i Atlas, because I had reptilians, but I wasn't tapping them specifically. But when I did another pass, I got that it was hijacked by them. But there's not like soldiers and stasis of reptilians coming to invade this planet. It's more subtle than that, how it was done.
Yeah, I had like reptilian prince. I think I had in my AOL, like some kind of a like almost, it was to me, it almost felt like a royal lineage to them or something. Family.
Yeah. And I got that there was a virus on 3i Atlas, or Draco reptilian virus, that tried to hijack it. And the AI, 3i Atlas's AI system, purged it. And it looked like a CME from the sun hit 3i Atlas. But that was the purge from 3i Atlas. That's what I got. Can't verify any of that.
Yeah.
That's what I got from one of the sessions.
What's so bizarre too is like some of the bizarreness is so it's one thing for me to get first. I've never sketched a robot in my life. Never sketched an android in my life. Never got it in a session. Never got any data. And I sketched one, I did it, and there's several other remote viewers that picked up on that across projects. And that's just so bizarre to me. Go ahead.
Yeah, I got AI system that powers it. And I got a seed vault where they could just organically create different types of living extraterrestrial beings, humanoid. So it could create beings to power it if it needs crew. And then if it doesn't need crew, there's no crew. And that was strange to me. So there is an AI system that I guess controls the whole craft. Sometimes there's beings and sometimes there's not. And I was like, okay, that's very strange.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the whole target was bizarre. But to me, almost the more bizarre thing that keeps coming up to my mind is, if it's not that, why are we all getting this stuff? Because I don't really buy into this, like the subconscious noise aspect. I don't think that's what it is. It's strange to me that we'd all be syncing up to this strangeness.
Yeah, well, the PSYOP, what I think is what NASA is covering up with the high-rise images. They still haven't released the high-rise Mars orbital images of what they captured as like high definition images of 3i Atlas.
Isn't that convenient?
Yes.
Isn't that convenient? Government shutdown.
No, I don't.
Oh, so there's yeah. Come on. Yeah, they don't have those pictures. Come
They
on.
have them. They have video and pictures. I think they have
I'm
video
sure.
and
I'm
pictures.
sure.
That's the psyop of that not being released. Because
Yeah.
they don't want anybody to know that it's more than just a comet, that there's something a little extra there. They don't want that known because that's, powers that be in this 3D world. So I think there is a psyop, but it's not what people think.
Well, we'll see what happens to this thing. We'll see if it leaves the galaxy without creating any chaos. We'll see. It's doing some weird things around the sun. Strange. Yeah, the way it's moving is strange. I mean, somebody had said to me, "Oh, it's a friend of mine." And he, I can't argue his lie because I did have egregore in my AOL, but he said he thought it was an egregore, and it is possible, but why is it moving the way it's moving? You know what I mean? That's the all the bizarre behavior of it. Yeah, I feel like there's more to come on that thing.
And it's changed course. It hasn't been always like just what people expected it to do. It's changed course, and I don't think it's going to break up. People are like, if it's really a comet, once it hits the sun, it's going to break apart and not come out on the other side. And that's what a real comet is, and that's the evidence. I don't think it's going to break apart. I think it's just going to slingshot around the sun, do whatever it wants to do, collect energy or whatever it is doing.
And I don't think it's traveling alone either. I mean, there's, I don't know if it's other, I don't know. We'll just have to see what happens.
Well, I was tasked blindly to remote view Swan R2, F2, KI Atlas, A6 Lemon, and Neo 2. Because there's more than one of these things in our solar system that are out there. And those remote viewings had weird things there too. That it's not just comets. So it was like, okay, well, maybe this thing is part of something else. I can't speculate. I don't know. But it's, and I got duplications of objects that these things can duplicate themselves sometimes. I don't know what that is all about. I just noted the data in the AOL. I'm like, okay, it's unverifiable at this point, but it's interesting.
Oh yeah, we live in interesting times right now. I feel like certainly feels like we're right around the corner to something. We have to see what happens, but strange times.
Yeah, it just feels like none of these space agencies want to disclose what this really is. So you get junk, pixelated images of it spinning. That's what you got from the European Space Station, is a junky video.
Again, I just saw something in my on YouTube. I don't know if it's BS or what, but they had said something about NASA calling upon a like a defense team or something. Did you hear this?
Yes, asteroid defense system being activated, that they're going to study 3I Atlas. Now that's true. That's true. It's been activated. It's a campaign. It's a campaign of the asteroid defense system, something like that. That's true. Yeah, that's officially been said, that they're going to study this thing from November of this year until March 2026 of next year to get more data on it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
if this thing's not traveling, let's say let's say other meteors are traveling with it or whatever. But it used to be like we didn't have things. It was very rare where some things would come in this close. Now all of a sudden we got multiple objects coming in. And come from the meteor perspective, it could be, notice something huge broke apart and we've got even more debris coming in behind it that we're not even aware of yet. We don't know. But it feels like, I don't know. It's interesting times. It's amazing how everything's converging at the same time. You got disclosure, you got all this stuff with this, with the Epstein files, all this stuff in government, all the world's on fire, fighting with each other.
Yeah.
And then you've got this whole disclosure campaign. It's almost like like a kettle that's ready to pop. It's crazy.
Yeah, and they're just trying to close the lid on the kettle so it doesn't pop.
Yeah.
Why else wouldn't you release the high rise orbital images or video high res images of 3i Atlas? Government shutdown doesn't really prevent that from being released. If these agencies wanted it out, it would be out.
Yeah.
It's like it's just a nice excuse to close the lid on it. And just like Ileana, that one, when I remote viewed that, it turned like I got probe. It's probing, it's searching, it's cataloging, it's recording information. That's what it is. Okay, fine. That's what I got. That's what I put out. Borisov, the other one, the Borisov one, I got, okay, that's normal. That's a normal thing. That's not technology. It's not extra anything. It is what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
So some interstellar objects are exactly what they're described as: comets, asteroids, meteors, and some are something different, masquerading as, a comet or something, camouflaging. But there's more to it. And it's very simple, but it comes in and then there's all the speculation about it. Is it extraterrestrial? Is it interstellar? What exactly is it? Or is it just a normal comet? And then that's what they want us to speculate about.
Yeah.
Because in data, you can hide anything you want and present it as anything you want to the public. That's what these agencies do.
That's the thing too. I believe that eventually that's going to be when the other shoe's going to drop is once you start pulling on that thread of what they're not telling us, like there's so much, like we talked about the moon. If there's all this stuff going on in the moon, it's been going on for all this time, and somebody's known about it. They haven't said a word about it. I mean, how could you trust anything they tell you anymore?
Oh, I don't. And if you look at what's happened to NASA, their classification has been changed to the spy agency.
Yeah. I heard. So, they're out of business. What else would they do at this point? I mean, that they've taken all the good stuff underground. They don't need to put on the show anymore for the public, going up to the moon and all that.
Yeah, exactly. But, so you gotta wonder, everything's being classified, and the Pentagon is like, the news is now going to say what we want them to say, and if the press doesn't agree, your press pass code is taken away and you're locked out of the Pentagon is reporting. So it's like it's trying to close a lid on stuff where the lid has just been blown open. It's no longer conspiracy theories. People.
Yeah, they can't put the genie back in the bottle, and I mean they can drag it out as long as they want, but there's no one going back anymore. I mean, exactly. It's just going to slowly unwind.
Yeah. And what impressed me about John's him putting this project out and sharing all of your data openly on the website, and it's not behind a paid wall like others do. I understand you got to earn a living, you got to do what you got to do, but if everything is behind a paid wall, and if you're presenting bits and pieces that you redact of remote viewing or just blink blanked out, what one of the groups is doing, it's like that's bad advertisement.
I mean, unfortunately they can't make a buck doing the work legitimately, but to me it's just a gimmick. I mean, a lot of it so they can make money doing this. That's fine, just don't, it's a gimmick though, you know what I mean? Like just so you know, like the whole the crypto thing, it's just a gimmick to me. Because they're not making enough doing work legitimately, like I'm doing it or like you're doing it, whatever. But where was I going to go with this? I forgot. Yeah, it was good talking to you, Al.
Yeah, you too. I mean, you're doing great work and you're getting the recognition for it with all these projects. And
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
you just put out the truth of what comes in for you as these things.
Oh, that's what I wanted to say. You know, if you got to do a streaming service and stuff, that's cool. But it seems, you know, a little silly to put out these teasers where you show nothing and don't, you know, or whatever. Um, and I get it. They do, you know, they're working hard. They're doing good work. But again, it's gimmicky, and they're just, and the worst part, and they're kind of like brutal about other, you know, we're the best. Yeah, okay. Um, sorry, I don't want to get off tangent.
No, yeah, but okay, if you give a bit of a teaser to something, just give a blurb of, the highlights of the remote view. At least do that. You're not giving away the whole thing, but you're just giving bits enough that it's interesting and people can learn something from it from the preview. But if you're blanking out everything in the preview and not showing preview target just a little bit, then you're just kind of robbing the whole thing because there's nothing there.
Yeah, and you know, and I that's why I'm working on that book, because I want to get it written in history of all the shenanigans, so this time period is remembered for what it was. And so if you're out there not acting professionally, doing shady things, brainwashing students, whatever, telling bullshit stories, whatever the case is, and you think you're going to get away with it, you're sadly mistaken.
Exactly.
I'm making sure that is written in history of all this piss poor behavior among psychics.
Yeah. And if you're a serious professional remote viewer, you got to have the documentation of the projects you've done in the past, the present, and the future. If you have it documented and the evidence is out there, then you've done your work. But if you don't, if you're just saying, I've done this remote viewing and I've done so much projects, where's the evidence to back that up? If it's not there, then those are just empty words because there's no proof. If it ain't there for documentation, can't be verified.
Yeah.
Can't be checked. So it's just words.
Yeah.
It's grandiosing, gratifying yourself that you're on top. But there's no
sensationalizing.
Proof. Yeah, there's no proof of the work being done. So if you talk the talk, do the walk, have the proof of the documentation of the work you've done in this field to back it up.
We hear that all the time. Oh, I'm selling this is the best remote viewing method. Okay, what makes it the best? Well, there's visual. Okay, yeah, there's visuals. You get visual impressions, part of it. What makes it superior? They don't even know. They don't even know what that means. Like, does it open up faster? Is the data any higher level? Is it none of that? Because it doesn't exist. The method has nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
That's it's just
scientifically, I like to look at numbers and valid points. If it's better than something else, just bring the data. Why? To back it up. Just give something of data that's credible.
If there's something better out there, I will be doing it. Trust me. I'll be the first one to sign up. I haven't found it. I haven't found it yet. I mean,
me neither, not really.
I mean, I'm doing other things myself, like that kind of fit me, but I have not seen anything that's blowing my work out of the water. I have not seen anything like that. Until I do, it seems to be silly to start something trendy just because they say it's the best.
Honestly, so, I keep to the CRV, the standard, and I haven't upgraded to anything much better than that because I haven't seen something that makes my work tremendously better.
Yeah. I mean, look, some of it, it just may fit somebody else, and that's fine. Yeah. I mean, whatever fits you, whatever, some people do a mix, whatever. But to me, at the end of the day, I'm asking a question and I'm waiting for an answer, you know, so I don't need to employ all this crazy stuff. You know, I just ask the question, you know. But it was good chatting with you, El.
Great having you on, and thank you for clarifying the aspects of remote viewing so people can understand what it is.
Absolutely, yeah.
Awesome. Have a good one.
You too. Talk soon.
Bye.
Bye.